actually take people off drugs, and that would cut into their profits. So, of course you're going to be attacked. I mean, I don't know why you spend more than 5 seconds on it. Those people are just front men and pitch men for the drug industry. If someone's listening to this show and they're not on mind-altering substances, it's because you have shown them the way toward a free thought environment that doesn't need to be told by the drug industry what to think. So, you're cutting into their profits. And anytime you cut into the industry's profits, you're going to be targeted by that industry. If you come out and say that the banking industry is holding Congress as hostage for a bailout, then the banking industry is going to come out and smear you publicly. Last time we did this campaign against Coca-Cola 2 years ago, the one I just described to you with Whole Foods, we got this guy all over America. They wrote smear campaigns. If you look it up, Coca-Cola hedge fund, you'll see that they were calling me all kinds of vicious names because I was actually threatening their profit centers. If you threaten their profit centers, and their profit centers are all based on monopoly profits and oligarchical profits, they're going to come after you. But that's how it's as night follows day. But as long as you people are supporting cash on cash, the expansion of the Alex Jones domain, then obviously the people are with you. Because if they weren't with you, your domain would not be expanding as it is.
Yeah, it's just creepy to have George Soros and the Republicans and Psychology Today and the Wall Street Journal and just all attacking me. And I know it's because we're having success. It's creepy.
Okay, but Soros, so let me tell you something about Soros. He's a pure hedge fund. He's a pure hedge fund. And hedge funds are a free-floating force in the financial universe. They will go wherever they make money. And that's my point. In other words, if enough people boycotted Whole Foods to drive the stock price down, George Soros would be selling short Whole Foods for us.
Because he's a political atheist. He'll just a total pragmatist.
So why don't we use hedge funds to leverage our ideas instead of having the government use hedge funds to leverage their ideas? The hedge funds will go wherever there's
Final
money
segment.
to be made.
Stay with us.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Max, we were trying to get on your Pirate My Film site. It's crashed. So a lot of the listeners are checking that out.
Well, it's in beta. So, I figured it would crash. I got to it's in beta. So sorry about that. But, it's going to, as I said, the point is that people can, it's the pirate futures market. You can raise money for independent films. And you can do so by sharing the revenues of pirate sales, as we were just talking about, with the people who are helping you finance the film. So you're bypassing Hollywood. Hollywood is another monopoly in America that is not doing anybody any good.
Yeah, the only problem with your model is all these weasels out there will say they're part of your film now. That's why I couldn't be part of something like that, at least in your early stages, because people would come invest in it just to claim they had a stake in it to mess it up. I mean, have you ever dealt with infiltration, Max?
Oh, yeah, but let me explain something to you. First of all, these are not investments, okay? People are pre-buying a copy. They are pre-buying a copy. So anyone who wants to buy a copy is giving you the order to buy the copy and giving you the money for the copy today. Okay? So they're going to get a copy of the film. So it's like going to Amazon and getting something. Now, the fact is you can share as part of the revenues with those people who pre-bought a copy, but they're not obligated to. You have the option to, and their expectation is that they may get nothing. So this is not an investment. It's not an SEC-regulated investment. It's like you buy a pack of cigarettes and you get a coupon. And the coupon might be worth something. Here, you pre-buy a copy of your film, and you're going to give them a coupon.
So it's almost like a political action or supporting alternative film outside the existing corporate model. Now I understand what you're doing. That makes a lot of sense. Very good idea, Max. Okay, in the few minutes we've got left with you, briefly, because I respect your opinion on this, what do you see happening in the next month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year with the economy as people see that Main Street is still collapsing at an accelerated rate while the media says green shoots, Valhalla, stock market up? Where do you see this going?
The deleveraging is the word to keep in mind. Deleveraging is the term used to describe banks that need to get rid of their bad assets. And the banks have many, many more trillions of dollars worth of bad assets than the trillions of dollars that the government is throwing at the banks. Now, in 2008, for example, you had a lot of people on your show who talked about inflation because they said that the government was going to throw trillions and trillions of dollars at these bad banks, and that trillion of dollars was going to enter the economy in the form of price inflation. Well, it didn't happen. Why? Because the amount of trillions of dollars that have been thrown at the banks is not as great as the many, many trillions of dollars of bad, toxic debts that have yet to be revealed. The net result of that is actually, in 2008, had been deflation, shockingly enough. The good news about deflation, by the way, is that gold bullion does well in both deflation and inflation. It does well during extreme economic stress periods, and that's the play for gold bullion. Forget about gold bullion as terms of an inflation play or deflation play. Think about it in terms of an economic systemic banking failure play, and that is yet to be played out. The banking sector has yet to collapse due to the implosion of hundreds of trillions of dollars of derivatives and bad debts. And the fact that simply by Obama putting a few Band-Aids over the situation, the cash for clunker scheme, all that does is defer the problem. People who owned a car outright for cash now have a monthly car payment. So all they did was increase the debt. They try to solve debt by increasing the debt. So the debt payment is still very high. The global creditors are still, looking to America. I think the trend for Americans is that they have to understand that the U.S. government is forced to sell off more and more of the American infrastructure, tolls, roads, as you find in Texas, that you talked about in your show, ports, and other vital infrastructure has to be sold to foreigners to forgive the debt, which means that the Americans are going to be living in a country that they themselves do not own. But then meanwhile,
Centra came in through its Zachary Australian arm and bought up over 100, it was 144, local newspapers on the Trans-Texas Corridor routes to shut them down from criticizing. That's how much money they've got. They spend hundreds of millions doing that, buying these little papers. And then they have the Austin Chronicle write hoax articles saying it's not Spanish-owned.
The policies for media are, again, written by the media industry. Here's a hot-button topic for you. This hot-button topic is, how was it described? What was it called? Not equal access, but there was a law for a while ago, balance access or equal access. You probably know the phrase. What I'm trying to think of. It's when both, they got rid of it under Reagan. When both sides were given the chance to comment on a topic, and then what's it called? I forget what it is. But Reagan got rid of this because basically he's kowtowing to the media industry. And let me make another point. How come you're not getting subsidies and payments from guys like Glenn Beck, who simply take your emotion that you have demonstrated you can have on a public media platform and then use it to sell his agenda? He should be paying you a monthly residual on basically what you pioneered, which is this very on the sleeve, overt, emotional type of presentation that Glenn Beck simply has stolen, and he uses it to put forward the Fox News agenda. That's outrageous. He should be paying you every month. He should be paying all your light bills, all your parking bills. Glenn Beck should be paying you, Alex Jones, because he's a fake copy. He's a moron.
Well, I'll tell you this in closing, Max, and I can't wait to get you back up with us and also be on your new TV show, that I have talked to people at Fox, and they admit that they are imitating us. They are copying us on their internet shows. They're even using the same video backgrounds we use. It's very bizarre. And Beck does do a copy of me, but then he twists it.
Exactly, because they, in other words, you pioneered this entire space of user-supported films and documentaries that go on the internet. Now everybody's doing it. You invented it. You have a way of doing your show, which Glenn Beck tries to imitate, but push the Fox agenda, which is completely dubious and false and counter to what you're talking about.
They even use the same video filter for guests that we first used. It's actually scary.
Glenn Beck for defamation or for ripping you off, from trying to clone you. The guy should be paid paying you cloning fees every month. The Fox News, why don't they get their own shows and their own presenters? Why do they have to rip off Alex Jones? Murdoch doesn't have any money. He can't hire regular presenters. He can't hire real talent. He's got to hire these